Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited for this interview today. My name is Kiki Lovelace, and I am a business growth and sacred money mentor for six-figure wellness business and coaching business entrepreneurs who are ready to scale to multi-six-figure or seven figures. And I have an amazing person to interview today, one of my Purpose and Profits masterminders, Juliet Klingen, who I'll bring on in a moment. I'll introduce her. But I want to welcome everyone today. We're going to talk about Juliet's amazing bold moves and her crazy sparkling mindset, which all have resulted in like incredible things in the last 6 or 7 months. So let me bring Juliet into the room. Here we go. Hi, Juliet. Welcome.
Hi, Kiki. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Well, so I think we need to first tell the peoples who are watching at home, I just want to tell them, as a brick and mortar, which you have now termed click and mortar, kind of combo, Pilates Studio Owner. And, I didn't even realize, you told me this last week, that your studio is really small. It's like a 1,200 square foot studio. And so, I'm about to spit off some results that I know there's probably more you can add to this, but what's shifted for you in the last, 7 months. And you came in with a very strong business, but it's just quantum leaping here is just so remarkable, especially because it's COVID times, and because of what we're all dealing with, and because you have a smaller studio. So yeah, I just want to name these things and just take a breath and feel how it is for me to read these things out loud. See if you can even take this in. Okay. So y'all, Juliet has increased their revenue from 25K months last summer when we started working together, which had been consistent for a while, to on the last 3 months on average, 43K months. What? That's amazing. Let's see, Juliet is paying herself a high six-figure salary, soon to be multi-six figures. It's on. It's totally happening. You're so close. I know, which is amazing in our field, in our wellness field. It's just really remarkable. It says a lot about you and just what a pro you are. The studio is pretty much running itself, would you say? It's like you've got your systems dialed in.
Yeah, I just check in and glitter inspiration and come up with ideas, but my team's got it.
Crazy towns. And then, and this is the last one I want to name, is that you've developed a new high-end offer that will be scalable to multi-six or seven figures in the next 1 to 3 years, which is totally insane. And that was you launched that about three months ago. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So y'all need to know that Juliet is an amazing Pilates instructor. How long have you owned your studio for, Juliet?
I had my own home studio for 2.5 years. I started that in 2012, and then I've been at my brick and mortar for almost 7.
Amazing. And tell us just a tiny bit about your new coaching offering too, because it's so cool.
Yes, very excited. Kiki and I helped develop. So I'm super passionate about obviously brick and mortar Pilates studios. And so my offer is a 12-week program for studio owners who really want to clean up their system. Super passionate about systems and getting things functioning so you can eject yourself out of the day-to-day in the studio. So this 12-week, we're going from mindset all the way into getting membership set up and, getting your team and automating things and getting everything rolling so that you can step up to your next level.
Yes. And I have to tell you all that whenever Juliet gives me a little snippet into her sales process and the nurturing process, I have a feeling your closing ratio is insanely high, because essentially once somebody comes to your studio for the initial session, would you say that your closing ratio is 80%? It's probably really high.
It's higher than that. It's really is.
90. It's 9 out of 10, or sometimes 10 out of 10 people.
Yeah, it's very high. It's very high.
No, your systems are crazy. They're so good. It's so amazing. I know, it's so awesome. So, I mean, as I'm telling you this list of all these amazing things, and there's even more that we're not even going to talk about, but how does that feel inside to really see what you've accomplished and created in the last 7 months or so?
I'm just so relieved, if that makes sense, that, I think when we all started the pandemic, it was what's going to happen? And I'm yeah, I freaking did it. I did it. We survived. Today is 1 day anniversary of when we closed for us. So it's a big day. I kind of was teary-eyed when I went in the studio today, and I thought, I have a way better business than I have today than I had a year ago. And that's not what I predicted to have. My plan was to stay alive.
Right. Like most of us. So,
Yeah.
but the thing is, like, you know, like my theme today is like bold moves, sparkling mindset. So like, I mean, you just made the biggest, boldest move, like in, you know, 4 months into the pandemic in Las Vegas, they had allowed, I remember that because I had another client in Vegas. They had allowed y'all to reopen like May 1st. And I think you got in touch with me sometime in June. So you had like reopened, you know, with all the protocols and everything. But your husband had lost his job because he's in entertainment. And so here you are, the sole breadwinner of a brick and mortar business in COVID times. And you come waltzing into a sales call with me and like, I didn't even notice your freak out when I told you that it was a 20K investment, but I'm sure you were freaking out. Like what even drove you to make such a bold investment in that moment of your life?
I mean, I was truly following my gut. If that's like the only advice I could say, I was like, I had been watching Kiki and I know she hears that a lot. And I really copy the first thing. I was like, oh, she's writing about like emotions that I feel. It's like, I stopped to read your posts. I thought that I was coming to improve my copy. That's what I thought I was going to you for first. And then but I knew I wanted to like, so gosh, I knew in my heart that bold things had to happen for people to survive the pandemic. Like, and I also felt like it was a clean slate. Like the people who wanted to show up and claim some, like I felt like someone was saying to me, Juliet, like if you ever want to take that chance, like, yeah, that now is it. And that's what it's felt like for the last year, is just to claim up. Kiki has said to me once on a coaching call, like, you need to like claim your space, like own your space. And I feel like that was the first step in doing that. Like,
woo! And did you tell your husband that you were doing this, or were you just like on the sly?
Oh, I still don't think he knows what I paid for it. He doesn't know.
I've told you this, but I went through a phase where I didn't on purpose tell my husband anything really about what I was investing in my business, because I just was like, I'm the entrepreneur brain in our household, not him, you know. But now he knows, and now he supports me. So wow, that's crazy. Yeah, and you had never told me that you thought you were coming in for copy. So like you thought you were coming in to upgrade your marketing, and we actually did focus on that. I remember in the first like maybe 8 weeks that we were working together. But what do you feel like you've really learned?
Well, let me start with how the copy affected me, and then how that made me realize things. So I was promoting a workshop, and it was a really simple piece of advice, and it was about like feeling low abs, because I had a C-section, and you were like, these are the things that people need to read, and like you were like, just like talk about the body part. And I was like, okay. So I made this Instagram post on Canva and like showed it to you, and we talked about it, and I put it out in the world, and it freaking sold a lot. And I was like, whoa, okay. I see it. If you haven't worked with Kiki, like you just see things in a new way. That's like the best, like you see it for the lens from the client very clearly. And I was stuck in my lens of studio owner and like projecting like the Pilates, right? Like I'm like, oh, but I love Pilates, and let me explain how wonderful Pilates is. And you're like, oh, people just want to feel their low abs. And I was like, okay, so I'll just write that copy. And I haven't turned back since. Like I don't even talk about Pilates in any of my copy anymore. Like I barely mention an exercise. I'm just like, this is like what real life things you'll get. So that started like a real shift in my mindset of believing that there was so much more business growth I had potential to do, because I hadn't even tapped into some of these fundamental skills that would open up like enticing audience to come buy my products and in my studio and work with me. So that was like the catalyst. Just that first thing, I was like, oh, this works. Like I was like, that was awesome. And then I just, I just really wanted to own that space and be in it. Can I tell a short story? Like an analogy?
I'm mesmerized, yes.
So I was driving home from the studio, which is awesome because it's 11:30 and I left work on a Tuesday. And I was listening to to Hamilton, the musical, because I really love that musical. And there's a song that like Aaron Burr, who's one of the characters into it, he's like the antagonist. And he's really jealous of Alexander Hamilton because he's like, and the whole song is like, I want to be in the room where it happens. And I just feel like working with you, I was like, oh, I put myself in a room where people are doing like huge things. And as well as my masterminders who are in my group, like they're just showing up and doing things. I'm like, I just believe now that anything's possible because I'm surrounded by people doing huge numbers, huge lifestyle shifts, like truly designing life. And we did it fast. Like it's been 9 months. I'm like, my life has shifted. I can never go back to the hustle, which I'm sure Kiki will tell you. I used to think that was cool, but I'm retiring. I retired.
You're recovering hustler, like many of us.
Yeah. So the big shift for me was like putting myself in a room that let me make things happen with like the total trust that because other people were showing me the example that I was going to be able to do it too.
Yeah. And it's truly amazing, like what happens in that mastermind Facebook group. It's like the amount of like weekly posts of shares of like crazy stats, like crazy sales numbers, but also like deeper stuff that's going on, like rearranging their mindset and their belief systems and, thinking about what's possible in their schedule. Like the newest thing that's kind of like a ripple through the mastermind right now is like everyone taking a week off a month. That's wonderful. That's going through right now.
Yeah.
So, and then like Judy, who's like designing like essentially a seasonal business, there's a lot of like, it's true that like when you surround yourself with people who are doing the big, bold things, it just gets that much easier for you to like believe it's possible and then make the steps to actually do it. It's so magical. Yeah. Yeah. So can we talk about mindset for a second? Because I always call you in my head the mindset queen. And like I was thinking the other day is like when we have our private sessions, which are part of the mastermind, like we barely ever talk about strategy anymore. We almost solely talk about energy and mindset. And so can you give our people like a sense, just because they'll want to know, like, how did she go from 25K to 43K? Sure, there was like some copy upgrades and like some marketing, but like we didn't fundamentally change that much about your systems because they were already functioning really well. So so wouldn't you say it's more like your mindset and your energy pieces that have shifted that for you?
Yes, I firmly believe now that any strategy I can just learn, and like it's learnable. And if I have a question, of course I can ask you, Kiki, but it's there. So one of the first private calls we had, I don't know if you remember, but I was in a disaster mindset, not an abundant mindset. Yeah. And I was like, and this was my whole life, really. Like I was like always afraid to get and celebrate things because I was afraid it was going to fall apart. Like it was like, okay, I had a good month at the studio. I hit like, maybe I had in the past, like hit like a 30K month one-off. And I was like, don't get too excited, Juliet, because that was just 1 month. And, the sky could fall and this, that, and the other. And we had talked about, maybe some things that had put that in my mind. And we really talked about how believing that, with abundance, that everything is possible, that everything's there. And I really, truly took that because I had decisively decided I wasn't going to be in the disaster mindset anymore. It wasn't working for me. I was like, I'm done. I'm going to embrace this thinking everything's possible. And it works. It just works. I believe I'm not, I'm doing 40K months, but like, I now believe that like 100K months are possible. Like, and I don't doubt it. I just know that if I believe it, it will happen. And if I'm surrounded by people doing the thing, how can I not believe it? That would be the definition of crazy because the people around me are doing it.
Okay. So the disaster mindset, that was a big one. We retired that one early on. Is there any other mindset shifts that you just want to name and honor right now of like what has upgraded for you in terms of your belief systems and your mindset?
Yeah, I think that really believing that it could be easier than the way I was making it happen was a belief system. I had definitely been exemplified through other Pilates studios that I respected that, the owner works really hard. They're also an amazing Pilates practitioner. They're also teaching all the lessons. They're also, super dedicated to work. They barely take time off. And that was like, you had to be all of those things. And I was like, that's a lot to be, that's a lot of things you have to show up to be. And as we started working together, and I know you really embrace this in your own lifestyle, is having those boundaries around work time and having the belief that working hard has zero relation to the success you're going to have, zero relation to it. And I really leaned in on my mindset being more of an asset to me than how much time and hustle I was going to put into the work. And that has allowed me to delegate more, to have less control over everything in my business, and allowing other people to really step up and do it better than me, because I was like doing 18,000 jobs and really enjoying it. So I definitely have shed that idea that you need to work more and you need to work harder to be more successful.
Yeah. And the truth is, you know this, that like that is a path to multi-six or seven figure business growth, is you can work your ass off. You know, it's just like 10 years later, you have some sort of like illness and like exhaustion and like it's unsustainable, you know? So I think to be clear, it's like hard work, you know, hard work is required in the beginning because there's just so much to do when you're a new business owner and so much to learn. But at a certain point, it actually puts a ceiling on your growth, because you, Juliet, and every other owner operator who's watching this can't do anymore because there's no more hours of the day. So then all of a sudden you're like, you have to do something different to get from 6 figures to multi-6 figures. And then you have to do something different to get from multi-6 figures to 7 figures. You know, like those are all different stages.
I definitely felt I was at my limit of what I could give. Like I had to run the course with working all the time. There was I had to hit that ceiling that you're talking about.
Yep. And that's what, you know, we talk sometimes in the Thriving Studio Owner program about moving from the altitude of doer to manager to leader. And I feel like you were kind of hovering between doer and manager, but like I've really seen you shift into leader in the last 7 months, and you were so ready for it. So one of the things that's happened, because the studio now is standing on its own 2 feet, and really like your team is rocking it, and just like you're still getting new people and converting them into members, and so really things are going so well at the studio. So this has given you a little bit more space and leverage to create this new high-end offer, which is really what you feel like you're here to do, like, and just like how you can bring your gifts. So can you tell us a little bit, let me give you like a really good lead-in question here. I want you to tell us about the kind of Pilates studio owner clients that you most love working with.
The type of clients that I love at my studio?
No, not at your studio, but in your business coaching clients, now that you have this new offer. Yeah.
Yes. They're like me 10 years ago or me 5 years ago. Is in that, especially in my Pilates experience, I really can't think of a single Pilates business model that has really been exemplified as the standard, or showing people that, hey, you can actually be a 6-figure Pilates studio owner. It's possible for you without being like a conglomerate or like a club Pilates, which has a ton of backing and investors. Like your own single studio can be there. So I love working with studio owners who are in that place, that they really have like sort of an established type business, but they just aren't using any business skills yet. Not for lack of wanting to use them, but because they're busy. They've been doing all the things like you said, and they really haven't taken the time to see the value in what it takes to step out from that role and step into the role of applying real life business strategies into there. So I love taking people, especially like Pilates. I have a private Pilates studio. We do mostly privates, and I put a private membership in 3 years ago, which was like crazy. I have an automation software. They had to build me out a certain part of the software. So like, you do privates at your Pilates studio? We don't even have like an automation for that. And I was like, so they made one, and gosh, it's changed my business like trifold. So I love taking people and showing them the way that they can automate so much, and it's not overwhelming. It really isn't. I'm not asking people to go to business school. It's literally 12 weeks of things that you can apply week to week and grow and take so much off of your plate, and just watch your numbers like tick up, have recurring revenue, which most Pilates studio don't have. It's just like the paycheck comes down to what they made last month. They get their bookkeeper and they go, what can I afford to pay myself on this bottom line? And I want to end that. And I want to see our industry survive, not just from last year, but going forward, and making sure that, you know, women especially have an opportunity to do their thing, to be themselves and to be spacious and not have to follow the rules that were laid out before. They get to create their own destiny and make their own income and be really wildly successful.
Yes, and you embody that so
Mhm.
beautifully, you know. I
Mhm.
mean, like not only because of the salary
Mhm.
that you make, but just because you are so sharp as a
Mhm.
business strategist,
Mhm.
and yeah, and you see the problems with the legacy we've all been handed, you know,
Mhm.
in the Pilates and yoga studio
Mhm.
business world. It's like it's a really crappy model, quite frankly. So it just
Mhm.
needs updates, you know, it really
Yeah.
needs updates. Yeah. Amazing. So, so for any of my my audience here might be interested in your services, because I'm not
Mhm.
teaching those kinds of skills anymore.
Mhm.
I've retired that part of my business, and I'm
Mhm.
now focusing on folks who are just at a different level of growth. Can we send them your direction? Like, where could they find you on the interwebs?
I would love that. So as you see, my Facebook name is Juliet Klingen, so you could like friend me and message me. But I have a private Facebook group. It's the Prosperous Studio Owner Program. If you can't find it, just message me and I'll send you the invite. And I'd love to have you there.
Amazing. Awesome. Yes. And for those of you who are a little further along, like you've got your systems, you've got your pricing menu down, you know, you have like your marketing is going, maybe not as well as you want it to, but you know, it's like going and you've got the team and all that stuff. You may be ready to work with me. And I want to tell you about like 3 different options that I have right now, which will serve you at different levels of and different kind of times in your ascension from 6 figures to 7 figures. So I have my 8-week Get Your Studio on Its Own 2 Feet program, which is such an amazing program. You know, Heather, who's coming into the mastermind, is in it right now. I've got another client, Julie, who's in it right now. And just seeing them in that mode of like implementing the things, like doing the things, like they may already have the system, but it's like, it's time for them to like wean their business off them. You know, that's what I do in that first 8-week program. So I have 2 spots in that right now. I do have the mastermind, and I actually am going to open just this week in honor of this, just 1 spot in the mastermind, because I don't have a lot of space in that. And, you know, our group is like, we have to be very selective about who we bring into that group. So the mastermind is another amazing place for those of you who are already making 6 figures, ready to add 100K to 500K to your revenues in this next year, which like Juliet's already doing what, like 18K more a month or something crazy like that. You know, and I know your sales are gonna, you know, especially with your new coaching offering, are gonna just keep going and going. So yeah, it's really powerful stuff. And those of you all who have been there, done that, I do have a new private coaching offering. This is my VIP level, and it's a minimum 3-month commitment. It's called Catalyze, and I just have 2 spots in that right now because it's a very big energetic exchange between me and my private clients. So I want to invite all of y'all to message me if you're interested in working with me. And Juliet, I just want to thank you for bringing your wisdom and bringing your insights. And I'm just so proud of you. And you know, I love working with you. We always have the best time. So thank you so much for being here.
I say one more thing before I go?
Yeah, please.
Okay, to the audience listening out there, I can't recommend Kiki enough. I didn't know she was going to be this window to speak that. But the moment I said, when I got on the call with her to like do her program, the thing is, no matter what number she set out, I knew I was going to work with her. So I just had to say yes, whatever. I was like, okay, it's a little higher than I thought, but I'm just going to say yes because I'm not going to say no to what. And I've tripled it and I'm not even done yet, my investment. So if you're nervous, good. And she's so worth it. So she's amazing. So
And you should all know that I've actually increased my prices twice since I brought Juliet into the mastermind. So there's that. So better come in now before I do it.
I was going to say yes now because in 3 months they're going up. So
I'm not shy about it. Every time I realize, wait a minute, this is the kind of results people can get in this. Wait, I need to be charging more for this.
Totally.
Yes. Awesome, Juliet. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's so good to be with you. Have an awesome day. And thank you everybody for watching. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.